A lot of vets, a lot of times don't seek out help because they don't realize it, and they find other ways of dealing with it. When we're in the military and we're doing our job and trying to protect our country, we can't, oh, we got a boo-boo, put some dirt in it, move on. Take care of it and continue your job and be tough, that stay tough mentality and don't let little things bother you, because we have a job to do. And then when you come back and that's no longer your job anymore, a lot of times vets still have that same mentality. I had an older brother. He had the same job as me, but he was over there when everything kicked off in 9/11. And he was way more messed up than I was, but he chose to cope with it in different ways. And he would get drunk, and he was, just had a serious drinking problem that was turned into a drug problem. And then actually on his birthday this year in February, he OD'd on heroin. And I think his PTSD had a lot to do with it. It really, opened up my eyes there, and I don't want that to, happen to anybody's family, because that's a lot of heartache. One night, me and my buddy Latimer, we were doing gate guard duty. We were just sitting there talking, and I was kind of leaning up against a concrete barrier, and then we just got nailed by a mortar. And usually they're not as close as they were, but this is the closest one that ever hit us. And it just exploded into like this hot pink and orange, fireworks. It was beautiful, but it just knocked me on the ground. And then when I got knocked on the ground, all I heard him was say, "Oh no, radio that in." I was like, "Y'all really?" So we had NVGs, night vision goggles, and binoculars, and we could see really far out with it. And we're sitting there looking, in condition one, and then I swear it was like 8 seconds later, man, the choppers were coming in. Like the sky was red. I remember the sky being so red, and these helicopters coming in, helos. We were sitting there like watching them, watching these guys as they were running up to the guard tower, and then they started shooting at the guard tower. And then once that happens, once they start shooting in that close, we have permission to go ahead and fire. So we did, and we started shooting at them. And we shot them up, and then by that time, that's when the helos came in. They just tore them up. And then and that was kind of, that was the one that bugged me for so long. I would always hear the helicopters like in the middle of the night, and then the mortars, and that was kind of one that led to the PTSD, I think. It was really tough when I first got back. I remember when my family came out to visit with me, where I was stationed at. We were walking around in the state park, and like a huge pine cone fell out of the tree and made a huge noise, and I freaked out. I was like, whoa, just real alert, because for some reason it just kind of triggered something, and just kind of being shell shocked and on constant alert, And then when I went back home, just I'd wake up in the middle of the night, or if someone was walking down the hall, wake up in the middle of the night hollering and thinking it was somebody or something, and trying to make noise and racket and go after them, and then when I come to, it's, back in America. And instead of coping with it with alcohol or drugs or whatever, it's much better to talk to someone like me or another vet, or absolutely the doctors at the VA, because they're veterans and they're doctors, so they've dealt with PTSD, not to mention they know how to treat it. But you got to have someone that understands, and then understands, oh yeah, I jump up in the middle of the night too, or oh yeah, I have, I'll think that I'm, back in country in the middle of the night before I come to, and they can sit there, and the actual things that happen to you, they understand exactly what it is, not just a vague concept of it.